Hi everyone, my name is Katie. I am deciding to do a vlog about my plastic surgery and botched cool sculpting experience, really in hopes that it will help others. I feel strongly that we're under a lot of influence, whether it has to do with social media, whether it has to do with movies, magazines, just like this whole longevity and staying young forever. And I don't feel like I'm the only one that is susceptible to, the newest treatment to make our skin look better or whatever. And also, I feel like it's this whole idea of, being skinnier, looking tighter, everything like that is something that everyone deals with, especially those of us growing up in the 90s and 2000s. If you think about going through, we always laugh, my friends and I, if you're going through, at the cash register at the grocery store and you look around at the magazines, it's like, how many magazines talk about, shrinking belly fat, or, oh no, now she lost too much weight, she's fat, skinny, or whatever it might be. And so I just kind of want to normalize a little bit, those thoughts that we might have. And unfortunately, fortunately, sometimes these procedures work, and unfortunately, sometimes they don't. In my case, it was a number of years ago, and I heard about cool sculpting. I'd heard about it before, and was really excited about this opportunity or this idea of just getting rid of just a little bit of extra fat. And I mean, who wouldn't want to get rid of just that extra centimeter or two? And so I decided to do cool sculpting, which is a procedure that can be done in a lot of different areas on your body. But essentially, what it does, and keep in mind, I'm not at all a medical expert, but through all of my research and everything, this is the information that I know. And that, so cool sculpting essentially is supposed to freeze your fat, killing the fat cells, and then your body, through natural processes, will essentially flush out those fat cells afterwards. And it's actually quite a painful procedure, because there's almost like a vacuum that goes on your skin, sucks it really tight, and freezes it. So it's really painful to get to the point where your skin is so frozen that you can't feel it. Um, and yeah, so it's essentially supposed to kill these fat cells, or at least a certain amount of them, and your body is supposed to flush them out. There's different types of procedures. Some use cold, some use hot. So different clinics will maybe use warm or hot technology, saying that that will also kill some fat cells, and you'll lose some inches or whatever it might be. Cool sculpting is done through cold. There's also rip-off technologies that are not cool sculpting, that brand. And essentially, when you go to get it done, assuming you do it at a good clinic, they do let you know that there is a small chance, very small chance, of basically cool sculpting not working and it having the opposite effect. Essentially, being that instead of you losing fat cells, sometimes they like regrow, or it becomes really weird, hard tissue. Essentially, your body doesn't look the same anymore and it looks pretty bad. And so, of course, thinking that would not be me, I went and I did cool sculpting. I did it on my stomach and I also did it on my back. And we took before and after photos. And what was really interesting was that after, my body looked no different. And if anything, it just looked worse. And so that was pretty shocking. And even the clinic was surprised. Now, here's an interesting thing is that Cool Sculpting actually has a program called the Cool Confidence Program, where if you do not have the results that they promise, and if you have, you know, basically results that are not good or the opposite, you get diagnosed with something called PAH, paradoxical adipose hypoplasia, is what it's called, which I'll explain more later. And if that happens, in exchange for signing an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, where, you know, you won't badmouth cool sculpting or whatever it might be. They will pay for surgery to fix it. And the surgery that they typically recommend is liposuction, which is a surgical way of basically sucking out fat cells. And that's supposed to fix your tissues. And so that in itself is a little bit worrisome, that a company will already has a program in place to keep people quiet after this happens. You know, now, and doing all the research that I have, I think there are definitely clinics out there that do not educate their patients on this. And so I think the numbers, you know, the chances of getting PAH are a lot higher than what are advertised. And, you know, a bunch of surgeons that I've talked to will say the same thing. They actually, instead of calling it cool sculpting, they call it fool sculpting, because of the number of patients that they have that basically come in and they may not even know that it was from the cool sculpting that they did. But so basically the reported number is not the actual number, which again is another thing that's quite concerning. So I did this procedure, was really disappointed by the outcomes, essentially have now changes in my stomach that were not there before. It's essentially really hard tissue that is not tissue that you can get rid of. It's a mixture of like scar tissue and things like that that are really, really difficult to get rid of, and is absolutely not something that you can get rid of with diet and exercise. So it essentially creates these like shelves and basically like tissue that does not look normal. Yeah, it's not something that you can get rid of naturally. And so I did submit a request to get it fixed. And the crazy thing is I went and had liposuction to try to get it fixed. And that didn't work either. And so now not only have I spent money on getting cool sculpting, but I also went through surgery to try to fix it. Now I've learned a lot also about surgery and the type of surgery that you need to get rid of PAH, which again is a different story, which I'll talk to you more about as we get to choosing a surgeon and the type of surgery and where you get it and everything like that. And now we're at a point where I have a great clinic and they're helping me advocate for a second submission, basically saying that the treatment did not work, and that's what the surgeon said as well. And so we need a different and more aggressive form of treatment, essentially, to even have a hope of getting my tissue back to somewhat normal. So I feel like here I am feeling a little bit disfigured. And yeah, I'm just really hoping that anyone who's maybe had a treatment maybe go awry, that, you're not the only one out there. And for those of you thinking about getting these medical aesthetic treatments, just to think twice, really do your research. I again, not wanting to badmouth any service or treatment, because for some people they do really work, but it's not without risk, and not without, now for me, years of trying to fix this, having to undergo multiple surgeries, and there's like a lot of confidence that's been hit, a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment that goes along with this. So it definitely has an impact on your overall life and mental health. And then for anyone else who is, thinking about cool sculpting or has had this happen, I'm happy to kind of talk more about that journey and what it looks like. For anyone else who's just interested in plastic surgery, specifically looking at liposuction or tummy tucks, this is the place for you, as well as anyone thinking about medical tourism. Specifically, I'm going to Colombia, to Cartagena. And so I can tell you a little bit more about the journey through picking a surgeon and what that actually looks like going to another country for surgery, which is a little bit scary in itself. So let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and I would love to answer them on my next videos.